Well, welcome to Haverchat, a leadership podcast where we explore the principles, the stories, and the people that shape great leadership. Hello, everyone. I am Todd Wiesenberg, the Chief Culture Officer here at Haverkamp Group, and today we're going to have a meaningful conversation about growing through stressful seasons, what those seasons demand of us, how they reveal us, and really how they shape us to becoming stronger people, stronger teammates, and stronger leaders. Joining us today are two members of the Haverkamp Farm team. We have Jake McLaughlin, who is the farm property manager, and Will McLaughlin, who is the farm operations foreman. Gentlemen, welcome and thanks for being our guest today.
Yeah, thanks, Todd.
Yeah,
Glad to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we dive into the content for today, I want to give each of you the opportunity to introduce yourselves a little bit more in your own words, telling us your story, your journey from small town Harlan, Iowa to here at Haverkamp. And Jake, let's go ahead and start with you.
Yeah, so my name's Jake McLaughlin. I grew up in Defiance, Iowa, about 10 miles north of Harlan. Grew up on a farm with my older brother Sam, younger brother Will, and younger sister Lauren. Dad, farmer. He's a fifth generation farmer that makes Will and I the sixth generation in our family working in agriculture. Growing up on the farm was a lot of fun. I think Will would agree, kind of defines who we are and how we think and kind of where we're at today. It has a lot to do with it. Went to Harlan Community High School, 4 sports, football being one of them. And yeah, got recruited to play football at the University of Northern Iowa. First year there was 2019, redshirted and played 4 years after that. Met my wife up there in Cedar Falls, which is Tron's daughter, Katie.
Okay.
And that's kind of what brings me to the area.
All right. So following Katie a little bit.
I mean, she ended up in Cedar Falls.
Oh, yeah.
She followed me. I followed her.
Yeah, she followed you. That's a good way to phrase it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you've now been with the Haverkamp Farm team for how long?
Just a little over a year. Yep. Started in May of 2025.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Jake. Will, let's hear a little bit of your story.
Yeah, my story is not much different than Jake's, him being my older brother. But yeah, we were in a small town, Defiance, about a mile outside of Defiance, and Defiance is about like 150 people.
All right.
And Harlan is just shy of 5,000 people for the population. So little perspective there. And yeah, grew up playing sports, going outside. I love riding dirt bikes, 4-wheelers, building forts out in the woods. Was kind of what you do as a farm kid growing up. Had a ton of fun doing that. And yeah, high school, I think Jake was the same. It was football, basketball, track, and then in the summertime, some people play baseball, and we were actually on the swim team. So that's a little unique for us. But yeah, really enjoyed the sports, and I think found some identity in that. But I guess as life goes on, some things happen, and trajectory of life changes a little bit. But yeah, I got recruited by Iowa State, and I think Jake definitely helped out with that a little bit with his recruiting process and the coaches at Iowa State knowing them, knowing the last name. Yeah, got to Iowa State and was a 4-year starter, which was a ton of fun. Had a lot of injuries along the way, a lot of setbacks, which I think have given me a lot of perspective and experience on how to work through hard times. And yeah, got hired here at Haverkamp Group on the farms team in March, and have been working here since, and just recently got married. So.
Yes. Congratulations on that.
Yes.
Thank you. Before we, again, dive into the topic of growing through these challenging seasons or stressful seasons, I'd like to ask first-time guests for them to give me their definition of leadership, what it looks like, what it means to you. And we'll start with you this time.
Yeah, I think a leader is somebody who portrays a vision, and they don't just portray the vision, they also get their hands dirty and help bring others along with them to achieve a greater goal.
Jake, how about for you?
Leadership is definitely a skill. It's an ability that you have to influence people and guide them towards a common goal. leadership it's something you want to find, everybody wants to find in themselves. And I think having opportunities to do that is important. I think for us, sports really helped bring leadership out within us. And we've had great leaders in our lives and had great opportunities to learn from great leaders. So,
okay. Leadership obviously has impacted you guys, first at home and then, on the football field, and hopefully today as you are working with Haverkamp. And stressful seasons, everyone's going to have stressful seasons. It's something that we will all experience at some point in our life. Now, in the farming world, you literally have seasons that are stressful. You've got, the harvest season, you've got the planting season. You guys are just coming out of the planting season. So, for those who are outside of agriculture, planting season is probably easy to admire, but it's hard to maybe fully understand what's all involved in that season. So, Jake, I want to start with you. What makes the planting season such a stressful and demanding season?
Planting is definitely a sprint. They say planting is a sprint and harvest is a marathon, where planting, you don't really know what tomorrow is going to bring. Your weather conditions, equipment, people, transportation, place. You got to get the equipment places, and you don't have any choice but to get the plants in the ground. So you need to get it done. So you kind of just run and you go until you can't. And it's a highly technical operation as well, where you got to have your seed depth right, your seed spacing right. The machines that we run, the tractors and the planters and the starter fertilizer that goes on, it's a technical operation too. So between time and just all the technicalities that go into it, I think can make planting stressful, because then if you make a mistake, you have to look at it for the rest of the year. So.
I think I've heard Tron say that phrase. So yeah, that's a very common phrase in the farming world. You make that mistake in the spring and you're going to see it all season long. Just out of curiosity, what's the longest day, if you will, that you had in the planting season, or maybe days? How many hours? What's like a streak?
When I looked at my my timesheet, I had a 17.5-hour day.
A 17.5-hour day. Yeah,
I would say 17, 18, and you can creep into 19. That wasn't uncommon. Especially we had a week there where we were just really hammering it out, and like you kind of get in the middle of it, and I mean it's not so bad because you're all kind of suffering together a little bit, but it's exhausting because it's your brain and it's your body, and yeah.
I appreciate what you said there. So it's not just that physical demand, but it's also the mental demand. I mean, there's precision involved with it, and so there's a lot of technicalities there as well. Will, what do people not see about the pressure or the pace and the responsibilities that you'd like to share?
The pace that people don't see in pressure, I would answer that by saying they don't know the timing of how critical the timing of getting the seed in the ground is, as well as the just how weather dependent it is. You have to have good weather to be able to run, and to be able to run, you have to have equipment that doesn't break down. So it backs you all the way up to February, January, that time frame when you're going through equipment, and each implement planter has a dozen different systems on it, and you got to run through each system within the planter to make sure there's no kinks or issues. But then you never really know till you get out in the field, and then you have to work through it out there. You'd way rather solve it in the shop than out in the field. But I think that's something that a lot of people don't necessarily see. And another thing is like the what's next. It's there's so many different moving parts. You have to have seed to get this field done, but then the guy who's tending the planter needs to know where he's getting his seed from and which field's going to be next and which variety or hybrid that we're going to be planting that next field. And everybody's got to be on the same page. Communication is really important. I think we found that out for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of logistics involved. There's just so many different moving parts. Appreciate what you said. I mean, how important communication is in an environment like that, because timing is important. So I'm going to use typical day here in air quotes. What does a typical day actually feel like or look like during this season? And whoever wants to go first on that one, just describe a typical day.
Well, we get started early. Weather pending, obviously, like especially if you know weather's coming. So you got to get started earlier. There's really no choice. You get going.
Early is like you getting up at 5, 6, 7. Where are you getting out there?
It'd be nice to sleep until 6.
It'd be nice to sleep until 6. All right. There's some perspective there. Okay.
But we get up, we get going. You got to check the oil in the tractor. Okay, stuff like that. You got to, I don't know, go check each meter, make sure your seed's flowing, make sure the meters are turning. Check your gauge wheels, make sure you're planting at the right depth. You check your closing wheels, make sure you're going to actually cover up the seed once it's planted. So you got to run through your equipment first, and then you can finally go get started. You got to be able to set up your monitor right, know what hybrid, what variety you're putting in the ground, because we track all that. The technological aspect of it. And then we talk a lot about the difference between being an operator and being a driver.
Okay.
Because we could probably take somebody out of this office, put them in the tractor, you press auto steer, and the tractor just kind of goes.
Okay.
But being an operator is being able to look at your surroundings, being able to look at your monitor, know what's going on. You're looking in your mirrors, you're checking your camera behind you to see, am I picking up anything? Is anything dragging? Do I have a row unit that's clogged with mud? What's my population? Are we hitting the target population? And being able to manage all of that on top of just driving the machine.
Right.
So I would say in a typical day, you get rolling, and the goal is to stack days. You want to just keep moving, but I would say a typical day that doesn't always happen. You come across something pretty often where you got to stop, you got to get out, you got to use your hands. Something mechanically breaks down, you got to fix it. So there's a lot of problem solving involved, and then the goal is you just keep moving. And like Will said, communicate. You got to know when you're about to run out of seed, so you can call the tender guy. He can get the right seed loaded up. He can meet you in time, and you can load as fast as you can and keep going out in the field. And it's logistics, but I think this spring we had a good team. We communicated well and got the job done. And some of those days it's up before 6, and then some days we're not done till after midnight. So we just run as long as we can, because seed's not going to plant itself.
It will not plant itself. No, it will not. Will, what would you add to that typical day story?
Yeah, just a quick little story. So the farms team got the opportunity to go help out Paul Wilkin with a personal project, and I got the chance to talk to Paul a little bit, and he works very closely with Tron. And Paul had mentioned to me, I might butcher this a little bit,
okay,
but Paul had mentioned to me that the difference between planting one day earlier in April compared to mid-April to mid-May, and a good day is about 300 acres.
Okay.
The monetary and yield difference is worth tens of thousands of dollars.
Sure.
So that's how important it is. And Jake's saying that the whole spring is a sprint, and that's how important and critical it is for us to keep moving and to get the seed in the ground as fast as we possibly can, because it's not just the timing of trying to get the work done and be able to go home, but it's being able to have a quality product come fall.
Well, yeah, I mean, thanks for sharing that story, because it's not just about, getting it in for the sake of getting it in quick. I mean, there's real monetary consequences. It's not something that you can just say, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. I mean, that it comes at a real financial cost. So I love the sprint analogy. I don't have it in here, as we've, to prep for today. Just quickly, Jake, tell me about a marathon when it comes to harvest.
Well, harvest, we cover quite a few acres over a wide footprint. And harvest is, I mean, it's a logistics operation involving the combine, the grain cart and the tractor, several trucks, several people, grain handling systems, grain bins, and all of that needs to be operating at the same time. And we're all in different spots. The goal is to keep the combine moving, and the combine does not move very fast. So the grain cart operator needs to be with the combine when the combine's full, unload, go load the trucks go to the bins, unload there, come back, and you just repeat the cycle every field, every acre. And it doesn't go quick. It's not fast. It takes time. And that's it's not as, I would say, highly technical as planting. But I would say logistically, it's quite an operation.
Yeah.
But picking the corn and picking the beans, the combine's great machine, and then the operators are great. It just takes a while.
It just takes time. Yeah. Can't rush it. All right. Well, one of the things I hoped listeners would walk away with today is just a greater understanding and appreciation for all the work that you guys do, the team does, and all that it takes to do what it is that you do. All right. So you already mentioned it. You're not just coworkers. You're brothers. All right. And you're both stepping into a very similar stage of life. What has it been like entering this new chapter together, Jake?
I think it's been a lot of fun. Last time Will and I spent this much time together, I was 18 and he was 15.
Okay.
Our relationship has changed a lot since then. We were both living in mom and dad's house, and now we've kind of we went our separate ways, experienced college football, kind of the highs and the lows of that. I think really connected over faith and family and what that means to us. And now getting to work with Will every day, knowing I've got a coworker that I can trust and cares about me, and we have that brother connection on top of our working relationship, and it's exciting. I think I look forward to working together. I mean, it's been just 2-3 months now, and it's been a lot of fun. So I'm excited for the future.
Yeah. So Will, so you were like 15 years old the last time that you were really this, spending this much time with your brother. So what's it been like for you entering in this stage of life?
Yeah, I would reiterate what Jake said. I think there's been a ton of growth in him and myself from the last time that we did spend this much time together. We're different people, quite honestly, and I think faith is a big proponent of the reason why for that. But I think it's been really exciting. I've had a lot of fun so far, and we're not maybe working hand in hand every single day, but whenever we're heavy in the operations during the spring and a little bit during this summer when we've been spraying, it has been a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see just where it goes and how we can keep working together to achieve a greater goal.
How do you guys challenge each other? How do you, sharpen each other in this environment? Let me ask you this. Do you guys ever yell at each other? Do you guys ever get in, like wrestling matches as brothers?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay.
There's no yelling. I would call it playfully arguing. And
okay.
Most of the time I win, which is natural.
Oh, okay. Jake, how do you guys challenge each other?
I would say it's pretty constructive. We're both competitive. We're both high drive.
Right.
I think we've been competing with each other for longer than we can remember. So it's, we can build off of each other. And I think we both bring probably one of the biggest differences from when we were kids to when we were now is the type of energy we bring when we work together. It's not like, well, I want to beat you. I want to show you that I'm better than you. It's let's look at this. We can teach each other things now, and we can build off of each other's accomplishments, and what Will learns, he can teach me something, and then something that I know I can teach Will, and we kind of sharpen each other, I would say.
Yeah, I would I would also agree with that. I think our dad did a great job of teaching us critical thinking skills, which the world can lack nowadays. But it's interesting because we think very similarly, but then there's also differences as well. And there's different, we might have the same problem and find different solutions, and it's whichever one's most efficient and quickest. And there's already been examples of that where it's like Jake's been working at Haverkamp Farm Management longer than I have, and he knows how maybe this piece of equipment works and I don't yet, and he's able to help me. And when a problem arises, we're able to get two minds thinking on the same problem, and the more people solving one problem, the quicker it usually goes.
Usually.
Supposed to.
Will, I appreciate what you said just a few moments ago, how you recognize that you're not the same people that you were back when you were, in high school and in those younger ages. What have you learned about each other that you didn't know before? Something new that you discovered about each other.
Will's a lot more mature than I ever thought he was.
Okay.
No, it's been fun to kind of get to see him in his element, kind of as the person that he is now, and how he's grown. Like I brought up earlier, I mean, the last time we spent this much time together, we were different people, and so I mean maturity playfully, but also honestly, where it's cool to see what he's gone through in life and how he's responded to it. Makes me proud, honestly, because I know kind of what he's been through, and to be able to see how he's handled it, come out on the other side firsthand, and how he responds to things, because I have the perspective of how he responded to it when he was 15 years old versus how he responds to it now, and kind of has proved me wrong on some of the thoughts I might have had about him in the past.
Okay. How's your older brother changed?
It's been really nice. So he has gotten through college before me. He's gotten married before me. He's had a baby before me. So I can really look to him and ask questions, life questions, not just work questions, and get advice, which has been really helpful. Yeah, I think those are some of the things that maybe I didn't expect coming into work together and spending as much time as we do together. But it's been really helpful just having a similar mind to bounce ideas off of and just life questions.
All right, I want to transition now to lessons from the football field. You both played collegiate football. That experience obviously shaped you physically, but it also shaped your mind and how you think about things. So what did football teach you about handling these stressful seasons? And Jake, again, let's start with you.
Football, kind of from an outside perspective, I think is a very emotional game. You see players playing with a lot of emotion, and as they should. But it's very intense. It's a very intense sport. It's physically demanding, mentally demanding, and you'll be able to understand what it's like when you're kind of in the middle of practice and it's 95 degrees outside and you're sweating. You're on your 10th rep of the day and you haven't stopped, and your brain's tired, your body's tired, and you're just in the fog of war. And there's so much going on. Coaches are yelling, your teammates are yelling, everything is just chaotic. And football, I think especially collegiate football, can give you the ability to kind of remove yourself from the situation and remove your emotion and be able to focus and kind of see through that fog. And the only thing you have to worry about is executing. And I think execution is kind of a big factor in football, because each snap only happens once, and you have to execute, move on to the next play. No matter what happens, it's crazy. You can make the play, sack the quarterback, get an interception. Okay, but you still got to go the next play. You got to forget it and move on. And being able to remove yourself from that and just focus on the execution, I think, can kind of take a lot of the pressure off. You have to train yourself to understand how to do it, but it kind of removes pressure in very intense situations.
Yeah, Will, how has football helped you to handle these high-pressure seasons?
Yeah, I think before you're able to have the privilege of pressure, it is the preparation to begin with. So the college football season is kind of split up into 4 different quarters. The first quarter is winter conditioning, and that's January to about the beginning of March or so. And then it's spring ball, and that's March till about mid-May or so. And then you have summer conditioning and strength training. And then you have a short little 2 to 3 week period of football all day, every day. And that's called fall camp. And fall camp was football from about, it depended if you have treatment or not. I had treatment a lot of the time, and it was 5:30 for me until about 9:30 at night, sometimes 10:30 at night. And then you're able to get to the season. So you have 8 months of preparation that go into just giving you the opportunity to be on the field. And what Coach Haycock used to say, the defensive coordinator, who's got a lot of wisdom and I'm very close with, is that preparation doesn't guarantee you an outcome. It guarantees you a chance. And a good team, all they need is a chance. And I think that can translate into the farming world a lot. I mean, it's just how much you prepare is how well you can, I guess, perform. But then farming's a little different too, because sometimes the weather doesn't agree with you and it's not up to you. But another thing is, I think Jake kind of talked about it a little bit, is the mental side. There's so many thoughts going through your head, and when you're in fall camp and it's 95, 100 degrees out, and this is the 8th day in a row of practice, and your body doesn't feel good, your mind doesn't feel good, you're cramping, and what Jake said, you got coaches yelling and screaming at you. You really find who you are, and I think that's like kind of similar to like a soldier in a way. You really find who you are, and you have to ask yourself, are you going to be able to make it through that? And then what Coach Campbell would always say is you have to have a mental reset. You have to have a way to reset yourself, whether that be your faith, whether that be your family, or maybe a hobby. You can hit it hard as long as you want, but you have to be able to reset and regroup and gather your thoughts. And I think that can be taken for granted a lot. And you got to be able to fill your cup somehow. That's just another way of saying it. You got to be able to fill your cup before you can fill others' cups.
You know, earlier in our conversation, you guys mentioned a lot about, the Haverkamp farm team and how you guys, came together to get the job done in the spring. So again, thinking back to your football days, what did football teach you about doing your job for the sake of the team? And Jake, let's have you answer that one.
I think anybody who's played the game might have heard the term 1/11th. You have to do your 1/11th. Football is the greatest team sport because all you can do is your job. And you have to put your trust in the other 10 guys on the field who can't do your job. If one of those guys fails, the whole play falls apart. Cornerback doesn't bail into his third, okay, busted coverage, touchdown. Quarterback drops back in the pocket, but his right tackle doesn't block, he gets sacked. So you can have great individuals on your team, but it still just does not work unless every single guy does their job. You're putting your physical well-being in the hands of your teammates. And I think that's why, football teams bond and get so close, is because we suffer together, we hurt together, and sometimes it's his fault that I get hurt, and sometimes it's my fault that he gets hurt. But we all win and lose as a team. Special teams, there's 3 phases of the game, your offense and your defense and your special teams, and each component of the game plays a major role in the outcomes, and the outcome is the score. And I think what football has taught me that I can really take into the workplace, from a team perspective, is that I want everybody to know, everybody that I work with, that I'm going to work as hard as I possibly can, do everything that I can do to make sure we succeed. And I'm going to approach my job with the mindset that you're going to do the same thing. And that's kind of just how I think football players are wired. Because if you don't have that trust and that camaraderie, it all falls apart.
Wow, thanks for sharing that. Will, do you ever find yourself in moments at work that feel like something you experienced on the field, whether it be practice or in a game? Yeah, do you ever find yourself in moments at work like, man, this feels familiar?
Yeah, definitely. I think that with working on a farm, equipment has so many different moving parts, and they all have to work together. And if one part doesn't and it breaks down, then the whole thing breaks down, just like on the football field. And in football, Coach Campbell would always talk about how the obstacle has to become the way. And what he meant by that is, I guess how I see it is, I've got a 330-pound O-lineman who's 6'8", sprinting at me full speed. That's an obstacle. And I have multiple different tools in my tool belt that I can use to defeat the obstacle. And whether it's a punch and shed, shock and shed, or dip and rip, or whatever it is, I've got to be able to make a decision quickly and perform that decision efficiently to be able to overcome that obstacle. And I think I've seen a lot of that in football translate to the workplace. Is I have obstacles in front of me, and you can either sit down and be like, man, it's not my day.
Let that 330-pound lineman just lay on you.
run you over. Or you can stand up and run even harder at him and knock him in the mouth and overcome that obstacle. And I think that's been something that I've seen come up over and over working on the farm. Is there's lots of problems that arise, and you have to be able to solve problems quickly and efficiently to keep moving forward.
Yeah, I'm sensing such a theme there, and it sounds like a lot of the things that that has made you successful on the football field really has translated directly into the workplace and into the cornfields even. So this idea of growth under pressure, the title of the episode is Growing Through Stressful Seasons. And stress doesn't just test it actually shapes us. Stresses do shape us. What has this recent season, as far as planting or even going through, I know you've been doing a lot of application here too, and that's also something that has a short window of time that you've got to make sure that you're, getting that taken care of. What have these seasons been teaching you about yourself? And we'll start with you this time.
Absolutely. I think that it's my ability to look inward and not outward. I think there's a lot of outward reactionary problems happening, equipment wise. There's so many moving parts that stuff doesn't always work. And it's your ability to look inward and to be able to problem solve. I keep coming back to that, being able to problem solve. But yeah, I think that you need to look at yourself before you look at others, and that can help you overcome whatever is in front of you.
How about for you, Jake? What has stressful seasons been teaching you about yourself?
I really tried to take the stress and take the pressure of work. We work very closely with our team, and things get intense sometimes. And you have being able to take a step back and view it as an opportunity to respond to a negative situation positively.
Okay.
Because kind of like Will said, you can either let the 300-pound lineman roll over you, or you can take it head on. And I think in a workplace, the right way to do that is to just choose how you respond, and keep moving forward. We have like equipment breakdowns is a great topic to bring up because it's extremely frustrating, because everything can be rolling and then all of a sudden something breaks, and now you can't go until you're back up and running. And taking those things that happen that you're out of your control and just using them as an opportunity to learn. So then, next time, whatever happens, you respond positively, you solve the problem, and you keep moving forward, and you don't let it bother you that much. You can't let it slow you down. You can't let it get in your head. And, stress, it can be, if you respond the right way, it can be a good thing and help you grow as a person.
Something I've heard both of you guys articulate is, and you've used the word multiple times, is respond. When a situation does happen, you can either react or you can respond. And what I heard you guys both articulate is that response, which is just almost taking a pause and saying, I have a choice here. And how am I going to respond versus that kind of visceral reactionary, this is, how I want to, react, and just, I'm not going to get frustrated. Okay, how can we learn from this? How can we grow? And I love that, and what I hear in you guys' voice, or what you're articulating about responding. All right, your farm team. I want to come back to your farm team that you're part of. What do you wish more people understood about the farm team, Jake?
This vocation that we're in, kind of growing up in it, and Dad and Grandpa and all the farmers in our family, it's more of a lifestyle for us than it is a job. Most of the time. We don't really work in the 4-quarter business structure. We follow the 4 seasons, and that's how we operate. A lot of what we do depends on just the weather, the seasons. It's more, like I said, a lifestyle. It determines how we live, what time we get up, what time we go to bed. I think that's something that is common to us, watching Dad work growing up. I think it makes us feel like what we're doing is just normal. That was the example that was set for us. So it's not really, we don't complain about it. It's just the way it is. And honestly, I think in 2026 we feel blessed to be farmers. It's a hard thing to do. Not many farms, make it 6 generations or a century, and having the opportunity to be a farmer, I think, is a blessing.
Will, what does it take, not just skill-wise, but kind of more of that personality-wise or personally, to do this work well, to have this lifestyle of a farmer?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think that perseverance is a staple of farmers historically, is working through the hard times. Like our dad's side has been farming for 5 generations and is working on the 6th. And my mom's family, they also farmed, and they ended up unfortunately losing the farm in the 80s. And unfortunately, there's hundreds of farmers, used to be farmers across the state of Iowa, that lost their farm in the 80s. And I think that diversification and working through those hard times and finding more revenue streams is kind of what farmers have to do nowadays if they want to stay afloat and to be able to plant that next season. I think working through the highs and the lows and persevering is how farmers can keep going.
As you think about, again, the Haverkamp farm team, Jake, we'll start with you. Who on the team has impacted you the most, and how?
Coming out of planting season, and I don't know if he's going to listen to the podcast or not, but I'm going to give a shout out to one of our part-time guys, Gage Boyens.
Okay.
He was a student at Iowa State that started helping us out last fall. And, you know, through the winter and then before Will and Tyler got here in March, a lot of the labor was just me and Gage. And having Gage around and the jobs we did together, some dirty jobs, some hard jobs. Like I said, I don't know if he's going to listen to it, but I wanted to give him a shout out because he was great to have around. He was a great coworker, great guy, a lot of fun. He's since graduated and moved on and is doing his own thing. But, you know, Gage, I think, he didn't get to come to the quarterly meetings. Not a lot of the rest of the HG saw him or probably got to meet him, but he was a huge part of everything that we've kind of done in the last 6 months.
Yeah, I really loved our last quarterly meeting where Tron got up in front of the entire company and gave a shout out to all you guys and about all the hard work. And it was so great to see Gage there and, you know, see a little bit of a smile on his face as you guys were recognized, as Tron recognized you guys. Will, how about for you? Who on the team has impacted you and how?
Yeah, I think Tron brings a lot of experience to the table, and that's something that I don't have. I think working through the spring with him has been really helpful. Jake and I have been around farming our whole lives. I've asked my dad a ton of questions growing up, and I know what it looks like to be a farmer, but I've never done the day-to-day tasks that farmers actually do. And this is my first time doing it, and I think I've got a good ability to problem solve and to find solutions, but sometimes there's things that I don't know. And Tron has been really helpful using his experience because he's probably solved the problem a dozen times before I've solved it once. So I think his experience has been really helpful. And I also wanted to shout out Tyler Moore, who's also in the operations, and he does a great job and works really hard. And yeah.
So you're going to give Tyler some love, even though he's a Hawkeye?
Right, I know it.
Wow, you've really grown and changed. Well, no,
we're working on him.
You're working on him?
Yeah, he'll be a Panther someday.
He'll be a Panther someday. Love it. All right, so what does make your team so strong, your farm team so strong?
We spend a lot of time together.
All right.
Our operations are year round. We work very closely, long hours. And, you know, you have to have some fun with it. So we joke around with each other. We're friendly with each other. You know, it's a typical, I guess it's not a typical like kind of office workplace relationship because if we tried to be super cordial and it would get kind of cumbersome. So, you know, we joke around, we have fun, things get intense, we work hard, you know, it's kind of like the football team. We suffer together a little bit and we grow closer over that, you know, spending those long hours together this spring, you know, the communication aspect of it, we got to learn about each other so we can effectively communicate. But I think all that kind of ties into kind of the relationship we all have as a team.
Anything you'd add to that?
Yeah, I would say that everybody's ability to own their role and to take ownership in that. You know, Tron deals a lot with the financials, and Jake deals with inventory and farm management stuff, and I deal with more of the operations side, and so does Tyler. And I think everybody's ability to own their role and to work their hardest at achieving their goals that they've set for themselves in those roles. That way they can have the ability to work their way up. And I think that's what our team brings to the table. And not all year are we working hand in hand together. Spring is a big time where all of us are outside every single day. Fall is going to be a time where we're outside every single day together. So I think as the seasons ebb and flow and workload picks up and slows down, everybody, especially Jake and Tron, who have more of that managerial role or more computer work than maybe I have or Tyler has, their ability to come outside and to help get things done and the versatility that they bring to the table has been really helpful.
You both are in a very meaningful stage of life. All right. You've got new careers, young families, you're growing your future. What advice would you give another young person who's stepping into this stage of life? And Will, actually, let's start with you on this one. What advice would you give a young person who's stepping into this new stage of life?
Yeah, I would say take a deep breath. There's going to be a lot coming at you, but it's all going to be worth it. And I think like a tree, and back to when we were talking about stress a little bit, is what makes a tree so strong is the wind blowing on it and the small cracks that happen in the tree as the tree sways side to side, and then it heals itself and becomes stronger. I think that the more time and experience that you can get and the patience that you can have during that time is going to help you learn more lessons and become a more well-rounded person and be able to solve more problems on your own.
Jake, what advice would you give to another young person who's getting into this stage of life?
I think a strong foundation in whatever it is that you ground yourself in. I think for myself, it's my faith, and I think that's the same story for Will. And then I couldn't forgive myself. I didn't mention my wife too. Like Will said, you have to fill your cup somehow. And for me, that's Katie is a big role in that, and everything that she does for me outside of work, and having that place that you can go, whether it's church or home to your family, having that foundation and knowing your why you do what you do is important. And I think that it's strong enough to carry you a long ways. And it takes some work to find it. I don't think it's easy for anybody, but I don't think anything that's worthwhile ever is easy. So, any young guy, I would just say, find your why, get grounded in something, go all in, build your identity, be who you are.
That word identity came up earlier in the conversation, and Will, I think you referenced it to, or one of you did, in terms of like growing up in sports and stuff like that. Just want to kind of park there for a second. So now that you're in this stage of life, talk about identity. I know that's not a question I had on here. We're going a little bit off script, but yeah, just love to hear you guys talk a little bit more about finding identity.
Yeah, that's just fine. I think in high school, I definitely had my identity in football and sports. And even as I got into college, I had my identity in football and sports, and faith was just kind of off to the side for me. It was just something that helped me maybe ground me a little more so I could be a better football player. When in reality, that's not how it should work. And I quickly found that out after a back injury, sophomore year of college, that put me out for quite a while and ended up needing back surgery. And it was then when I didn't have a whole lot of people around me, but what I did have was my Bible. And that's where I grew a ton in my faith. And that's where I kind of found my identity in Christ. And ever since then, he has been my why, and he's been my ability to show up with a smile on my face every day. And I think what is really challenging for people nowadays is to be consistent, and be consistently the same person every day. What Coach Campbell would always say is consistently good leads to consistently great. Like somebody whose emotions are really high one day and really low the next day can be really challenging to deal with. And I think one's ability to be consistent and be the same person every day is what can bring, the baseline even higher.
Okay. Last question as we begin to start to wrap up, in terms of last question for this stage of life. Jake, I want to give you an opportunity to talk about being a dad. I know, again, that wasn't in the script, but I'd love to hear, your perspective about being a dad.
Nothing better, I guess.
Okay.
It's She's 8.5 months old now. And it's completely, talk about a world shifting perspective on, myself, my wife, children in general, girls and boys and school and church and work. Everything I view through the lens of a father now. And that's something I'm so grateful for, because I don't even know what I was doing before. It's been the best. She's a blessing. It's a lot of fun.
We were talking about growing through stressful seasons, and a lot of times we think stress is negative, but stress can also, you can have positive stress. Becoming a father is a positive stress. You just articulated very well, what that's, how that's challenging you to grow and look through a different lens. So appreciate that. So as we wrap up, what's one thing you hope listeners would remember about Haverkamp Farm Management?
I'll lead this one off.
Okay.
I think I'd like listeners to know how hard that we do work. And what's even better than hard work is hard work efficiently, getting things done in a timely manner. And I think that is what we're able to do. And I think that's what makes us so special. And I hope it brings a little new light to the HG employees, what Haverkamp Farms is like.
Yeah. Jake, what would you add?
I think, speak for all of us, we take a ton of pride in what we do. I think we're passionate about agriculture. We're passionate about farming and farm management and the lifestyle that it is. I think each one of us, each member of our team loves what we do. And I hope everybody can see that in the way we work, the way we show up to work every day for each other, the way when we come to quarterly meetings, kind of get to interact with the rest of the company, that people just know that we're really excited about what we get to do. I phrase that as what we get to do. I think that it's a real blessing. It's an opportunity to be a part of Haverkamp Group and farm the way that we do. Gives us a lot of advantages, a lot of cool opportunities.
Well said. Well said. All right. Anything else you want to say before we close? This is your last chance. Maybe a shout out to your new bride.
I think so.
Okay, all right. Just trying to help you out a little bit there. Jake says, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Katie.
Jake got to shout out his wife, so I'll shout out my wife as well, Meg McLaughlin.
Yeah.
We've been married for about 10, 11 days now, something like that.
All right.
It's been a lot of fun. We're working through the new marriage things, which is really fun.
Yeah.
And there's no one I'd rather do it with.
Good recovery. Good job. Good job, Will. All right. Yeah. Jake, Will, I want to really thank you for being our guest today and your perspectives and your stories that you shared with us. I appreciate the work that you do for Haverkamp, but also just what you do as far as just being good stewards of the land, this lifestyle of being a farmer, and also the way that you represent the next generation. So I just want to say thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Todd.
Absolutely. And to our listeners, I want to say thank you for joining us on Haverchat, a leadership podcast. We hope that today's conversation gives you a deeper appreciation of all the work that the people do here at Haverkamp, and a better understanding also of how stressful seasons can help us grow and become better people. Be sure to follow Haverchat as we have more meaningful conversations with leaders who are making a difference each and every day. So until next time, keep leading with purpose.